I especially enjoyed that one. Let's see what's next.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Play War Thunder. And look at this cute little thing. Look at this little tank. I love this tank. This is the T-50. This was the successor to the Soviet T-26 light tank. And this thing is awesome. Really awesome. Like, I don't really know how to describe how awesome this little tank is. This part here is pretty cool. Watch the hull of the tank. It's gradually going to get dirtier as I go through the mud and dirt down here. And I never really noticed this before until I started watching this replay. But you see that? Look at that. That's really cool. I never noticed that before, how slowly the particle effects take effect like that. So, good job, War Thunder. The game looks really good. But yeah, more about this tank. It was, like I said, the successor of the for the T-26. It was intended to directly support infantry in combat, so meaning it's right down there on the front lines with the soldiers. You know, they're pointing around corners and telling this thing to go shoot stuff. So that was the role that they intended this thing to fulfill. It was compared to the German Panzer III as far as armament, armor, and overall battlefield role goes. This thing had a 45mm cannon, two 7.62mm machine guns. Had a crew of 3, a driver, and then 2 in the middle. It had a little cupola, I don't know how you say it, but it had a commander's cupola up top with 7 armored slits for the commander to see out of. So you had a pretty good field of view in this thing for its day. It was complicated to build, though. Manufacturing this thing was a problem because of its diesel engine. It had a very, very powerful diesel engine in the thing. However, they just couldn't get it to mass produce very well. It was a very complicated engine to produce, so these things were only produced in limited numbers. But it was very successful, very popular, and a tough little tank once it finally reached the Leningrad front, easily proving a name for itself on the field of battle and earning itself a place in the history books. And I absolutely enjoy playing this tank in War Thunder. Its speed, its low profile, and just the slope to the armor. I'm not sure what the angle of that sloping is, but this tank can shrug off hits that you would not expect a light tank of its tier or battle rating to survive. And here now, the enemy looks like they're pushing A, and I was going for a very wide flank down there to try to get eyes up for my team and you know, figure out what the enemy's doing. I've been playing a lot of random battles, and I've really been trying to be the best team player I can possibly be. Whenever I spot things or need assistance, I'm always down there in the chat window, you know, calling out what I see, where I see it. But there, what you just saw against that T-28, this is the one little drawback to this little light tank, and that's the fact that it is a light tank. I'm using APCR ammunition because I was going up against the side of that T-28, and its armor was just too thick for me to penetrate with my standard armor-piercing ammunition. I had to switch to that APCR. Now here comes that T-28 coming around the bend to try and finish me off. We could now unfortunately have an up-close and personal battle, but look at the turn radius there. That's the type of maneuvers you can pull off in this little beast with that diesel engine. My only chance to survive this encounter is to hug the rear of this T-28, because he can't get that gun depressed enough to really do any significant damage to me. So I am just left with no other option but just to put shot after shot into the rear of this guy. But it looks like he's starting to gain the upper hand in this sumo match. I'm forced to give him my side plate, but that way it keeps the bow of my tank down so that he's not able to put shots into my front plate. That cannon on that T-28 will easily be able to finish me off. Switching back over to APCR now, I need to get this shot off because my only chance now is to try and take out the ammunition or to finish off the last of the crew, and there we go. Shot going into the fuel tank, taking out enough of the crew members to finally render that tank immobile. So hell of a up-close fist fight there with that T-28E. But that's the kind of things that you can pull off in this little T-50. This thing will surprise you. Now finally working my way up from the flank, capturing A, earning myself some more credits, and throughout that whole exchange, I really didn't take a whole lot of damage. You can see there my track is damaged a little bit, but the rest of my tank's pretty much good to go. need to use the speed of this tank right now to get out of there. And there's that T-28 that I took out earlier. Artillery will kill this tank, man. Nice power slide to a fuel canister here. I'm just trying to go back and flank the enemy again. This match is pretty much over at this point. We've succeeded in pushing the enemy out of the town. Whoa, we got more artillery coming in. Narrowly missing a building, making a lamppost spin out of control there. Now we have a Stug. Get that turret around quick enough. I think my commander's been wounded. First shot going in, wounding the crew members. But like I said, this tank, you know, with that 45mm gun, just not quite enough punch to really deliver a one-shot kill. You're gonna have to tag your enemies a few times before you finally take them out. I thought about switching over to standard armor penetrating rounds here, but I didn't feel confident that it would be able to penetrate the front of that Stug, so just keeping it on APCR. What's going on here now? Air battle, that's right. I've been having a blast. Like, at first I was very opposed to doing the kill streaks, as I call them, in War Thunder. I was really pissed when they put this stuff in, because it just pisses me off to no end when you're sitting there having your way with somebody and then some jack off in a bomber comes along and takes you out. But it is relatively hard to actually score a kill in one of these unless you really know what you're doing. And a lot of times I just come in like I did there, unload my cargo. If I get a kill, cool. If not, I'll just do some aerial recon, report tank positions in the chat, and hope that my team can read. So yeah, like I said, this battle's pretty much over and done. We have the enemy now pushed all the way out of the town, pretty much back into their spawn. I'm just going to wrap around this flank here, try and get some shots in on the enemy, and wait for that little victory message to come along. But yeah, the T-50, very nice tank for its day. You know, sporting the T-34 look that the Soviets became well known for. This tank is a very solid, dependable tank in War Thunder, and I highly recommend you take it out for a spin sometime. So, in case you haven't noticed from the little musical opening video to accompany this week's episode, there's been some welcome improvements to the replay system for ground forces. Namely these cinematic camera modes, and man aren't they sweet. I've been waiting for this for quite some time to finally look at the tanks in some cinematic glory, so I'm using the opportunity to feature this tank this week in cinematic mode, the Panzer IV G. This tank is awesome. It pretty much doesn't get any better than this as far as Panzer IVs go. There's a couple models after this one, but in my opinion, this is where it's at. And I say that for a couple of reasons. It has 80mm of frontal armor. In game, that's great. In reality, not all Panzer IV Gs actually had 80mm of frontal armor. What they did about halfway through the production cycle of this tank, they decided to either weld or bolt on an additional 30mm armor plate to the front of the tank, bringing its total armor thickness to 80mm. However, not all Panzer IV Gs had this. Like I said, halfway through, they started doing this. Panzer IV G also sported a 7.5cm KWK-40 L48 cannon, which basically translates into the gun was better than the tank that came before this. And if you played the Panzer IV F2, you know how good of a tank that is. So you can imagine if this gun's better than that, man, that's fantastic. Yet, in reality, only 412 of the 1,600 tanks that were built actually had this gun, because like I said, it was a work in progress throughout most of this tank's production cycle. But this tank is pretty much a intermediate tank, you could say. When they started putting the 7.5cm cannon on the Panzer IV F, they designated it the Panzer IV F2, which they later designated the Panzer IV G, which is what we're looking at. Well, what we were looking at. What we're looking at right now is a bomber, and I'm about to drop some pain on the enemy team here. This is glorious. Check this out. I just got the Adamant Award, so I must be taking... Oh no, the bomber's taking fire right now. I got a guy on my 6. I'm just going to put this thing into a dive. Not even worried about it. Bomb's already dropped. There's no point in even being in this thing anymore. So yeah, the tank was pretty much an intermediate tank anyways. And there we go. Bombs are now landing. 2, 3... I don't even know how many. I think it was 3, 3 targets, 3 ground targets destroyed in that bombardment there. I can't tell. We're going to scroll up here in the battle chat down there if you can read that and see exactly what the hell happened. Looks like professional times 2 times 3. So yeah, 3 ground targets destroyed there. Amazing work. Amazing work. So yeah, like I was saying, they put that 7.5 centimeter cannon on the Panzer IV F, which changed its designation to the Panzer IV F2, which they later renamed the Panzer IV G, which is this. And the only, like I said, the only real differences between the F2 and the G is a gun with better armor penetrating capability, and then that 80mm frontal plate. And it's a very impressive tank. I'm really happy with it. This was the German tank that was destined to slay the Red Army. So to me, it's lived up to its reputation. This thing is reliable. It has excellent gun depression. And look at this. Just when you think that War Thunder replay system is fantastic, you get bugs in your replay. So we're gonna go ahead and switch over to a video that, well, is not so glitchy. Did I mention how durable this tank is? Watch this. I'm about to take on 2 Shermans with the 105mm howitzer. Not by choice, rather. It's just where I happen to find myself. Unfortunately, I'm unable. That should have been a 1-shot, let alone a 2-shot on that Sherman, but that Sherman just refusing to go down. But yeah, I'm stuck on this corner with what I don't know yet. Taking out an AI there. Now there's 2 Shermans. That's 1 shot. Track blown off. Gun barrel damaged. Putting another shot in that Sherman, aiming for the gas tanks. Looks like my round just walked down the tread of that tank. Just peppering me with their coaxial machine gun. He's got a buddy. Good God, a 2nd shot going in now to my frontal plate. A 3rd now going into my side plate. Still getting hit with 50 caliber and 30 cal ammunition. See, that guy's just looking for a weak spot on my armor somewhere. I doubt he's going to find it on my frontal plate. My gun barrel's now destroyed. I'm sitting here just trying desperately to repair. I think I just got shot again. Yep, I'm on fire. What is that? 4 105mm howitzer rounds now I've taken. Still getting hit with 50 cal. This tank's getting messed up too. This Sherman's taking all sorts of hits to the front. 5 shots now I've taken, and my crew is more or less still good. His gun barrel's now destroyed somehow. That's 5 105mm howitzer rounds I've taken. And look at the giant ice cream scoops taken out of my frontal plate. That's amazing just how much punishment the front of this tank has absorbed with that 80mm frontal plate. Another AI managing to somehow get killed by me in the midst of all this, but you know, nothing good lasts forever. Up next, the M24 Chaffee. And I hate this tank. I'm just gonna go out there and say it. I hate this fucking tank. I tried so hard for days to try to master this beast, to try to, you know, level up and get some better ammunition and improve the modules on it. And this little bit right here is the only good moment that I've had in a Chaffee all week long. This tank is so hard to master, and I mean, for good reason. It's not really like anything else in the game. The Chaffee came about after the Americans and the British took a look at what was going on in North Africa and realized, you know what, the M3 and the M5, they're done. They're obsolete. They just can't stack up to German armor. We need to go back to the drawing board. And that's exactly what they did. They came up with a whole new concept for an American light tank. A new hull, a new 37mm armored turret, 75mm gun with anti-recoil mechanisms in the barrel. It was a crew of 3, and the first prototype rolled off the line in October of 1943. It was a rousing success. The Army brass loved it. They loved it so much, in fact, that they ordered 1,000 of them, and then later changed the number to 5,000, out of which only 4,415 were built, but still, that's a hell of a lot. They were built by Cadillac and the Massey Harris Corporation through 1944 to 1945. It entered combat in the fall of 1944, and it was leased to Britain, where it saw combat in Korea, the first Indochina War, and then, of course, in Vietnam, in the Third Indo-Pakistani War. So it served all over the world with all different nations and all different types of conflicts. It's proving itself to be a very versatile tank and earning itself a spot in the history books, but it sure as shit hasn't earned a spot in any of my history books, at least any good ones. The difficulty I've had with this tank lies in two aspects. One is pretty obvious. It has no armor. The turret has 37 millimeters, and that's the turret. I don't even know what the hull has, but it's pretty much pointless to even think of your tank having any armor at all, because as soon as you get hit, something's getting damaged or someone's getting killed. That's just how it works. Its only real strength, as you can see right here, is its reverse speed. This thing can go almost just as fast as it can in drive as it does in reverse, or in reverse as it does in drive, or whatever. Nevertheless, you can get yourself out of some sticky situations pretty quickly by just slamming this thing in reverse and getting the hell out of there, which would lead one to believe that shoot and scoot tactics or sniper tactics are what you do. However, that's not the case. Gun depression, as you can see right here, is something you're always going to wrestle with, and it's going to get you killed. So those are some pretty critical drawbacks. I mean, gun depression is a very crucial thing in this game. Your tank either has it or it doesn't, and tanks that do have it tend to be the ones that succeed. As you can see right there, just try to get a shot on that tank, but unfortunately didn't have depression. I'm lucky to survive this encounter right here with my life. I'm effectively a one-shot for that Panzer IV M. He just clearly doesn't know it, I guess. I have no idea. But working hills like this is really, I guess you could say, the strength of the Chaffee. It has enough horsepower in that engine to get up and down these hills quickly. It's just finding the right hill. That's the challenge. As you can see here, I should be able to easily pick apart these tanks down there, but I just can't get the gun down there to get the rounds on target. The other half to that problem is the fact that it is a crew of 3. That means the loader is doing double duty. That means slow load times. And despite the fact that it has a 75mm gun, the gun is really not all that powerful. It doesn't quite feel like a 75 you would find on a Sherman. It just doesn't have the oomph that I would like from a 75mm gun. So in reality, you're left trying to do shoot and scoot or sniper tactics, but you're really just providing fire support for your teammates and just being an assist master, really. I played a lot of games in the Chaffee over the course of this week, and you can't see it in this replay, but I did manage to unlock the third ammo type. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's I think it's the armor penetrating ballistic cap, and I've had a little more success with that. You know, it's very effective at dealing with medium tanks, but again, it just feels just underpowered. It just feels like I don't have the punch that I would like. But you can fire over the back of this tank really easily, which is really cool. But more often than not, what you're about to see here is how I find myself in the Chaffee, where I get myself into a good position, start trying to get some rounds on target, and Sherman 105 makes me its bitch. So that's the Chaffee for you. It's a fun little tank, but is it worth the grind? Well, you tell me. Time for something a little more beefier. This is the KV-85. Where does the 85 come from, you ask? Well, it comes from an 85mm cannon, which was Russia's way of saying this is what a heavy tank looks like, and this is what a heavy tank does. All tanks, are, like most things in life, are one day destined to be replaced by something bigger and better. That's just the law of evolution for you. And it's no different with the KV series of tanks. they were plagued with problems from the beginning, namely the fact that they were pretty much powered by a tractor engine, but that's besides the point. The point is that there came a time when Russian military command decided we need something bigger, we need something better. So work began on the IS program. The IS was intended to do one thing and one thing only, and that's be a heavy tank. It wasn't intended to support infantry or to do anything like that. It was intended to go out on the battlefield, take some hits, and take out enemy tanks. That was its job. However, there was delays in the development of the IS, so they needed to come up with something in the meantime. And this KV-1 is about to have a really bad day. Goodbye, sweet prince. There was all sorts of delays going on in the IS program, so in the meantime, they made some modifications to the existing KV chassis. They expanded the turret ring, as you can see on the hull there, and essentially stuck an IS turret up on top of it. Boom, KV-85. And when used correctly, it would basically break through enemy lines, engage enemy light armor and support vehicles, annihilate them without suffering much damage at all, and it could oppose most German tanks that it would face on the battlefield at the particular point that it was fielded. However, like all good arms races, by the fall of 1943, the KV-85 was pretty much obsolete. Its hull armor was no longer sufficient enough to protect it from pretty much everything the German army was throwing at Russia. And, hold on, timeout. Did I just survive a direct... Yes, I did. Look at the hole in the front of that tank. I just survived a direct hit from a KV-2. That's crazy. But yeah, this tank was pretty much meant to be an intermediate tank. It was in between the KV and the IS lifespans. It took existing IS technology, put it on the battlefield to get it tested, and help prolong the life of the KV series of tanks. So it had... Oh, that was a bad shot. Jesus. So yeah, it had a pretty good storied history to it. It was a crucial tank and played a vital role to the war effort. Goodbye, KV. I'm just ripping apart... Oh dear. Look at that. All the firepower coming down on this tank, and it's survived it all, completely unscathed. But here now we're on soft ground, and this is the downfall of every KV tank, is soft ground. Those treads sink in, but we get another KV tank side on. Oh man, that 85mm cannon is just vicious. But despite how cool this replay looks, this is literally the only good game that I have in the KV-85. And I don't know if just the battle rating system managed to work out in my favor or what. I don't know. But more often than not, when you're in the KV-85, you're going to go up against Tigers and Tigers and Panthers or whatever the fuck other tank destroyers the Germans have to offer. Sherman 76s, and it's always a one-sided fight, it seems, when I'm driving this tank. Oh, hello! It's always a one-sided fight, it seems, when I'm driving my KV-85, but not this time around. I really do like this tank. The sound of the gun going off on this thing is just, it's almost orgasmic to me. Check this out. Get this nice little SU-122. Just listen to this gun. Oh, I just love that sound. I love that sound. KV-85 is a really fun tank to drive. Check it out. Rounding out the video for today, we're going to take a quick look at the SU-85. This is an interesting tank to drive. It takes a little bit of practice. As I mentioned earlier with the Chaffee, gun depression is critical, and this tank simply does not have it. But to talk a little bit about the tank, we got to talk about the SU-122 first, which was its predecessor. The SU-122 was fielded as direct support for tanks. The idea was, tanks would go in, fight infantry, break through positions, and the self-propelled guns would support the tanks. However, the SU-122 had an amazing gun, but it did not have an amazing rate of fire, so it needed to come up with something better. So by summer 1943, they had it. They came up with the idea of just slapping an 85mm cannon inside of the SU body, and boom, SU-85 is born. They built 2,337 of these things, Its armor penetrating rate was 75% better than the current Model T-34 at the time. They fielded these things in regiments of 16 tanks per regiment, and all in all, it was a pretty successful little tank. It fulfilled the role that it was intended to, and for the most part, there wasn't very many complaints across the board about this particular vehicle. And I hesitate to call it a tank because it is not a tank. It's a self-propelled gun. And what the fuck is an M5 Stewart doing in a game like this? But anyways, the self-propelled gun had no machine gun, so it had no real way of defending itself. It had weak armor to further confound its problems of lack of defense, and it had a small ammo capacity compared to other vehicles at this particular point in time. Somehow I managed to survive a side shot from a Sherman 76. I don't think anyone on the face of the earth can claim that, but that's what had just happened there. I don't know if it's just me, but Sherman 76s, man, those things are devastating, and it's going to take me a while to make that grind up there to get my hands on one of those. But I'll be sure to bring a video out about one of them sometime down the line whenever I have one of those. But this video is about the Su-85, not the damn Sherman. This match was interesting. As I said, I could not get enough gun depression or elevation to really do enough damage in its intended role as a sniper, so I just said screw it and just drove up the middle of the map looking for a fight. However, there's been some damage done. That Sherman 76 did wound my loader, or he might have killed him. So as you can see, my load time is now about that of an Su-122. So by the time I get my round chambered here, that damn Sherman's already burnt out. Suddenly, a wild BT-5 appears. What the fuck? What the hell? Where in the hell did you come from? So yeah, this battle's pretty much all but done. We've managed to push the enemy out of A. That KV-2 was giving me problems the whole time. Goodbye. Well, I'm pretty sure we've run over the 30-minute mark, so it's probably time to wrap up this episode of Let's Play War Thunder. Next week, or next month, or whenever I get the next episode up, we're going to be taking a look at this beauty right here, the IS-1. This is where the whole IS heavy tank line starts, with this beauty right here. So we'll take a look at her next week. We'll take a look at some of the M4 Shermans, and lastly, the German Stugs. So a lot of tanks I'm going to try and pack in the next week's episode, or next episode, or whenever it comes out. So stay tuned to that. Thank you guys for watching. As always, like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you have any comments or questions for me, and please share with a friend. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.